This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
Through the dark night, seeing clear, my vision's gone, can't see through. In the fire, I try to catch myself. Should I lay next to you? How can we fly if we never go? I wanna dive in the everglow. How can we live if we never know? Think I'm ready for your love. Think I'm ready for your love.
The following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Oh, yes. It does not matter who the host is. What has always mattered is who the listeners are. Anyways, today is Monday, June the 22nd of 2026, and we are broadcasting from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida. And coming across the multiverse known as Safety FM. And then we are hanging out with our friends and colleagues over there.
With streams so crisp that you can feel the sarcasm in your ear holes. Radio Big.
Oh, yes, there you go. A lot of stuff already going on. First thing is we are hanging out on this lovely Monday. Anyways, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting, anything fun, anything that you would like to talk about? Because if you do want to talk about it, you can go to callinradio.com. No doubt about that, as we get to do all of our stuff. So anyways, how's it been? Like, seriously. It's always such a good time when you and I get to hang out together. No doubt about that. Listen, without you, it doesn't make any sense to do what we do around here. I'm just saying. I don't want there to be any weird conundrum there in regard to what's going on. So there you go. A lot of stuff going on inside of this multiverse, but don't worry, because we got a lot of time today to hang out and talk a little bit. So let's do this. If you're new here, let's explain what we do around here. Our show consists of safety in the news and safety. That's just kind of what we do around here. It's not a problem. That's what we do. That's what we talk about. We bring in some professional broadcasters, because I definitely am not that, and they get to talk a little bit about everything that's going on inside of this world of the multiverse. They talk about what's happening. I kind of give you some of the other stories that are going on. Then we give you a main story towards the middle of the show-ish. And then you have the opportunity to interact with the show. If you want to go to callinradio.com and give us a little call. Once you get there, audio, video, and text messaging are the options that it'll give you automatically. And then once you do that, boom, you do that. I get a little prompt over here in the corner of the screen, and I know exactly where you want to go. I kind of have some idea always of where I want to go, and then we just move forward. So if you're good with all of that, I'm good with all of that, and we can move on and start talking about what's going on. So I do have my friends from Feature Story News ready and waiting in the wings, wanting to devour everything that's in front of them. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and bring them in for a moment. We'll have them give us some feature stuff, some feature stories because I think that that's going to be important in regard to what's going on. So let's go ahead and do that right now. This way we can get us into this lovely Monday.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New Delhi, I'm Neha Punya. Qatar and Pakistan say the first round of talks between Iran and the US to reach a final peace deal have ended with encouraging progress made. The talks taking place in Switzerland over the weekend after last week's initial agreement to halt hostilities for 60 days. Key mediators Qatar and Pakistan are saying that both sides have identified a roadmap towards reaching a final deal. Alistair D'Souza has more on the atmosphere in the run-up to that announcement being made.
According to various reports, for example, once again, if you look at Axios having spoken to a U.S. diplomat, that diplomat telling Axios that the nuclear issue did come up and they did discuss it, but really unclear whether it was talked about extensively or it was just skimmed over. But then you have the Iranian state media reporting that the focus really here was all about Lebanon, because, of course, the Iranians have been quite emphatic that there has to be a stop to that fighting there in southern Lebanon by Israel. In fact, Iranian media reporting that some of the negotiators have been telling the Americans that unless there is a complete halt to that violence and those attacks there on Hezbollah, which is, of course, Iran's powerful proxy, there will be no scope to talk about other things like Iran's nuclear program. So clearly they're drawing that red line.
Geopolitics taking centre stage in India's capital, New Delhi, as the country hosts top security officials from China, Russia, Iran and others for a 2-day BRICS security summit. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi is visiting India for the first time in almost a year, with the neighbours seeking to stabilise relations after years of tensions along the line of actual control. Ishan Garg is reporting from New Delhi.
The discussion is going to focus on non-traditional security threats, and the indication here seems to be that discussions are going to focus not so much on military and geopolitical security challenges, but rather on threats emerging from things like artificial intelligence, the use of artificial intelligence in warfare, in surveillance, and also potentially the use of drones that threaten security of BRICS members. India's comments about what could be discussed in terms of security was also in some sense echoed by the Chinese embassy here in New Delhi, as China's foreign minister is also attending this national security advisors meeting. China also saying that it wants to work with BRICS chair India to enhance political and security cooperation among BRICS nations. But this meeting also does come at a time when there are internal friction within the BRICS bloc. In terms of security, the question still remains how much can these countries work together and work as one unit.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, where has it all gone wrong for British Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer, and how can one of his possible successors avoid making similar mistakes? Sir Anthony Selden is a political historian and biographer in the UK. First, his explanation of why Sir Keir finds himself at the end of his premiership, less than 2 years after coming to power in an electoral landslide.
You need to tell a story. You've got to give confidence to the country that you know what you're doing. You know, they know why you're there, why you uniquely are there, and where you're going to be taking them. Yes, it's going to be tough. Think Churchill in 1940. Blood, toil, sweat and tears, but we are going to win.
And what of Andy Burnham, now returning to Parliament after winning an election in Manchester last week? Sir Anthony says if he wants to become Britain's next Prime Minister, he's got his work cut out for him.
People love him because no one quite knows what he thinks for. They love him because he's not Keir Starmer, and they love him because he beats reform and gives the Labour Party and Labour MPs the hope that he can do the same in the coming general election. But he needs to say what it is he's going to do, and he needs to have some kind of mandate.
For Britain, all this is new. Unprecedented turnover, 7 prime ministers in a decade, and the old two-party political system smashed by younger, more radical forces. It's been non-stop drama, and there's every possibility more lies ahead. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. Qatar and Pakistan say the first round of talks between Iran and the US and Switzerland to reach a final peace deal have ended with encouraging progress made. Geopolitics will take center stage in India's capital, New Delhi, as the country hosts top security officials from China, Russia, Iran, and others for a 2-day BRICS Plus Security Summit. And that is the latest feature story news. Neha Punya reporting.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Bringing you information you never knew you cared about. Rated R Safety Show.
This portion of the show has been sponsored by Private Internet Access, America's #1 virtual private network, or VPN. Even if you use incognito mode, internet service providers is storing your browser data and many times even selling it. But Private Internet Access, or PIA, can help you. PIA encrypts and reroutes your internet traffic through one of its own servers, hiding your data from your internet service provider or network admin. And with servers in over 75 countries, you can get unrestricted access to geo-blocked content from around the world. PIA comes with easy-to-use apps and browsers extension for all devices, a rock-solid privacy policy, open source security, advanced customization settings, and it was just ranked the fastest VPN in the world by PC Magazine. And if you sign up right now with PIA, you can take advantage of a special deal only for Safety FM listeners. Only by using the following link, you can get the digital privacy for less than $2 a month. Yes, you did hear me correctly, less than $2 a month, and an extra 4 months for free. So that means for only $1.98 a month and 83% off, you can get this service for you right now. That's so much more inexpensive than virtually every other VPN on the market. And if you get it right now, you can take PIA's 30-day risk-free challenge. You can try it out for 30 days, see if you like it, and if not, just return it for a full refund. So just go to safetyfm.com/VPN. That's safetyfm.com/VPN to try out the best VPN on the planet completely risk-free. Now remember, safetyfm.com/VPN.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
You've seen the loop. You've felt the shift. The script doesn't fit anymore, and neither do you. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct is the third and final signal in the trilogy from J. Allen, Ph.D. And this time, it's not about waking up. It's about what you do once you're awake. The system didn't break. It just stopped pretending to hold you. And now it's blinking, rebranding presence, packaging resistance, and calling it progress. This book isn't a guide. It's a transmission. It doesn't teach the system how to evolve. It shows you how to stop performing for it. You'll see what happens when awareness becomes responsibility, when audits don't listen, and when leadership becomes a loop. But if you've made it this far, you're not here to be managed. You're here to carry signal. Safety transmission. The collapse of the construct. Now available in print, Kindle, and audiobook. Narrated by J. Allen, Ph.D. Because if it couldn't hold your signal, it was never real to begin with.
Let's start using cutting-edge warp-speed 5G technology with your cell phone. Let me tell you about my friends at mobile.io. They have an ultra-fast 4G LTE and 5G network that covers 99% of Americans. So they've got you covered everywhere. Think about it for a moment. You have the opportunity to take a test drive for 10 days with unlimited talk, text, and premium data. What is premium data? Premium data is an allotment of a cellular data that you receive from a higher priority on the network. You won't get throttled like you will with some of those, well, non-brand service providers. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to mobilemobile.io. That's mobilemobile.io to start your 10-day free trial.
show and they just make fun of a whole bunch of people. It's just too funny. It's too stupid.
Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so let's get into it. Let's start talking right away about some of the stuff that is going on inside of the multiverse, not the multiplex. That is for sure, as we are going through everything that is going on inside of this inside of this blush. A lot of stuff going on over the weekend. If you were paying close attention, that's always kind of the key part there. Exactly of whatever you're taking a look at. So let's start talking right away because there was some interesting things going on. So take a listen to this. Akla Hughes sparked controversy during an appearance on MSNBC's MS Now. Yeah, so it's MSNBC's MS Now. Saying that she doesn't believe the United States will exist by its 500th anniversary if the country stays on the current path. Speaking to the co-host Jacob Zebero, or Joe, I think it's Joe Sobero. Hughes argued that the policies under President Trump, including that she described the effort to weaken public education, public services, and government institutions, make a pessimistic that about the nation's long-term future. Hughes said that the U.S. is still relatively young democracy and noted that many nations throughout history have risen and fallen. She also expressed concern that the younger generations will increasingly be uncertain about their futures. The discussion comes as the cable news outlets debate significance of America's upcoming 250th birthday. Take a listen to this. Seriously.
Your predictions.
Okay, so I have quite a few, but I think that this is a long-term one. I don't know if we'll be around to see the results, but I don't think America's making it to 500 if we're on the same trajectory.
Oh.
250 was a stretch.
No, don't say that.
I don't see it happening. They're destroying education.
Say more.
History. Right. I mean, I think that we have a concerted effort from the current administration to forget about history, to, sort of destroy public education, to destroy public works, to privatize everything. And if we know one thing about corporations, in the long term, they're not giving back to the people. And I think, we are a very young democracy. There are so many other countries that have come and gone, and I don't know why we believe that we are immune to that. And so I just feel a little pessimistic based on where we are.
So what do you think? Something tells me that some people would change the channel for sure, exactly with the moment that started going on. What do you think here? Do you agree with what she had to say, disagree with what she had to say, or just really don't give a shit about what she had to say? Which, I mean, that's perfectly fine, too, if that's kind of the way that she thought about it.
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so a 34-year-old man is behind bars after police says that he randomly attacked a woman inside of a Target in Simi Valley, leaving several people injured. Investigators say that Rajan Tabor walked into the store on Wednesday evening and allegedly began choking a woman who was standing at the checkout counter. Store employees and customers rushed to help, but police say that Tabor then turned his attention to those trying to stop him, injuring several people, including a juvenile. Target employees evacuated the store. As officers arrived, police found Tabor inside of the building where he was allegedly throwing merchandise in the grocery section and arrested him without incident. The woman was hospitalized and is in stable condition, and investigators say that she did not know her attacker. Others suffered minor injuries, were treated at the scene. Tabor has been booked on multiple charges, including attempted murder, burglary, assault, battery, and cruelty to a minor. Man talks about jumping in and help. This was on Inside Edition.
He just looked like he was unhinged, just demon-like in his eyes, totally bloodshot. Pretty scary, actually.
What made you go towards this guy?
Basically, my son said he heard screaming, so we both ran over there with my daughter, and we decided to jump in and help the lady out.
So, think about how crazy that is for just a moment. I mean, you're just hanging out there at a good old, I almost said Wally World there, but meant Target, at a Target, and this goes down. That gets weird right away if you really think about it. So there you go. Man, what an interesting time. Okay, take a listen to this. Janine Pirro, now the U.S. Attorney for D.C., refused to rule the possibility of arresting ABC's news reporter Jonathan Karl after President Trump accused him of trying to damage the newly renovated Lincoln Memorial Reflection Pool. Trump spent the weekend blasting what he called liberal lunatics for vandalizing the $16 million project and singled out Karl, claiming that he was trying to peel the rubber from the pool surface. Karl has not commented. Pirro said that anyone caught vandalizing or attempting to vandalize the pool will face prosecution, noting that several citations have already been issued. Karl had recently filed multiple reports from the site questioning the quality of the renovation after the paint began peeling and algae appeared less than 2 weeks after completion. One of the people arrested is former Olympian David Hearn. Strongly denied damaging the pool. He admitted touching the loose flap of the coating, but said that he did not. He did so out of curiosity and accused authorities of trying to create a narrative of vandalism. Hearn described his arrest as heavily handed and claiming that he wasn't read his right and wasn't allowed a phone call and spent 5 hours in custody. The renovation originally estimated $1.8 million, but then ballooned to $16 million through a no-bid contractors, including a repainting job from in an American flag blue, a color selected by Trump. As the pool paint continues to peel and algae spreads, Trump insists that vandalism is to blame, while critics argue that the issue may be poor workmanship and political theater. So there you go. Here's what Janine said about Jonathan Karl.
Judge, is Jonathan Karl from ABC in trouble?
Well, it depends. Anyone who is in a position of vandalizing or attempting to vandalize the reflecting pool will face the criminal justice system in D.C. There are several citations that have been handed out to individuals. If there are more serious products that are put into the reflecting pool to create more algae or a bigger problem, then we'll consider more serious charges.
Okay. So I want to understand, because I normally get so lost in certain things, and it's not hard here. It's not hard for me to get lost in some stuff. So let's just be realistic. What product would you put in there to cause the algae to pop up? I'm just trying to figure it out because I don't know. So there you go. I'm just asking the question. So last week we were talking about some incident that occurred during a bungee jump. So let's talk about this just a little bit more, because some more news has come in regards to this. The investigation into the 21-year-old death of Maria Eduardo Rodriguez de Freitas has expanded, with 3 more people arrested after she was thrown more than 100 feet to her death during a botched bungee jump in Brazil. Authorities say that one of the new suspects is believed to be the leader of the group, operating the jump, while another allegedly took to the GoPro cameras Maria was holding before it mysteriously disappeared. 3 instructors had already been charged with homicide with the eventual intent, meaning prosecutors believe that they didn't intend to kill her, but knowingly took part of the extremely dangerous act. Investigators say that the safety rope that should have caught Maria was never attached and remained coiled on the bridge after she was thrown. In a police interview, the instructors admitted that they were responsible for securing the equipment, but claimed they couldn't explain how such catastrophic mistake happened. The bridge where the fatal jump occurred is now being demolished to prevent future accidents, following the renewed criticism of the unregulated adventure operators who had been using the site. So hold on for a moment. Just want to make sure I have a clear understanding here. So you're telling me that there is a bridge that these people have been using, and out of the blue, no one kind of knew that this is what was taking place, but now the determination is destroy the bridge. I mean, talk about extreme here. So you can't just say, hey, we're going to do some stuff right there to kind of do a workaround. It's destroy the bridge. That's different. So what did the bridge connect before? I'm just wondering. Because all of a sudden, if you're saying, hey, I'm getting rid of the bridge, that changes some things for some people. I'm just throwing that out there for you to think about that for just a moment. Because that just gets weird. Gets weird quick. Anyways, let's continue talking about some other things. Peace talks between the U.S. and Iran reportedly broke down in Switzerland after Iran officials walked away following a series of sharp warnings from President Trump. According to reports, Trump threatened to renew military action if Iran closed the Strait of Hormuz or failed to rein in Hezbollah. While Vice President J.D. Vance was attempting to negotiate a broader agreement with Iran officials, or Iranian officials, better say, Iran's delegation reportedly refused to continue discussions, saying that negotiation couldn't move forward until fighting between Israel and Hezbollah ends. Iranian leaders also insist they will not give up their uranium enrichment program, while Trump responded by warning Iran that escalating tensions and vowed a stronger military response if necessary. The talks were meant to build on the fragile 60-day agreement signed last week to address Iran's nuclear program and keep the Strait of Hormuz open. But renewed fighting in Lebanon has quickly put the deal under pressure, leaving negotiators with little progress and major difference until it's resolved. So, do you want me to tell you what this was titled? Iran walks away from peace talk protests after furious Trump's explosive outburst threatening to blow the shit out of them and take over the country. Interesting. I mean, I don't think you're going to get a lot of stuff moving by walking in that way. I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay, so let's talk about this. Rory McIlroy ended a disappointing U.S. Open by venting his frustration on the course after another poor wedge shot, muttering to himself, "Just go home, Rory." His final round 73 left him with at 6 over par and outside the top 30 after a disastrous back 9 on Saturday and knocked him out of the contention. Rory said that the turning point came when he fell from 2 under par to 3 over a single stretch, admitting that he was still disappointed that the next day and was simply trying to get his round over. And with an early string of bogeys, while he was encouraged by improvement off the tee, he acknowledged that his wedge play let him down throughout the tournament. Wyndham Clark won the U.S. Open golf tournament yesterday, so there you go. Some things to talk about. I mean, I guess we had to talk about some of this stuff. People really care about sports, and it's like, hey, you can't skip over this. I get a little moody-ooty if you do. So there you go. So let me talk about this because I want you to jump on to call-in radio if you want. There's something almost sacred about the first CD you ever bought with your own money, not a gift, not something that your parents picked up. Your money, your choice. That moment felt like a rite of passage. So if you were officially old enough to have to have your own taste in music, picture it. You're standing in the aisle at let's see, Sam Goody's, FYE, maybe even Walmart, flipping through those plastic wrapper jewel cases, like choosing your own identity. You remember the smell of the store, the poster on the wall, listening station with those giant headphones that never quite worked properly. And then you eventually grab that CD. And then you've been thinking about it for weeks. And it felt like you were holding a piece of the future. Maybe it was a boy band. Maybe it was a rapper that you weren't supposed to listen to. Maybe it was a soundtrack or a one-hit wonder or an album that you still know every word to. So let's go back. Let's relive that moment of musical independence. What was the very first CD that you ever bought with your own money? And what made you choose that one? Go to callinradio.com. I'd love to hear about that. Maybe we can talk about that during hour 2 and 3 and kind of go through some course correction there. I will tell you this. My first CD, not tape, CD. Just for the sake of talking about it. CNC Music Factory. Not a joke. That was my first CD. Not tape. because I'm old enough to have tapes. I'm not old enough to have 8 tracks, but that's a whole other different conversation. Callinradio.com. I would love to hear where you're at with that. It would definitely be interesting. So there you go. Let's continue talking about some other things. Let's talk about some healthy stuff, I guess, to some extent. Dr. Shari Lipner, a dermatologist, said that most people only apply antiperspirant in the morning. But the medical truth is that you need to be putting it on at night. We sweat less at night, so antiperspirant can come into closer contact with the sweat glands and decrease sweating. Dr. Lipner said that, however, it's essential to use antiperspirant rather than a traditional deodorant because the former prevents sweating and odor, while the latter just blocks odor. So what do you think? I'm just asking. So it's clogging your pores is what it sounds like. I don't know. I have some acquaintances that they swear that the antiperspirant, you have to do the ones that don't have aluminum in it or aluminum. But then they kind of leave some weird layer of gel in it. But I guess we can talk about that at some other point. Why am I talking about this?
Duh.
I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird ones. Take a listen to this one real quick. A bear turned heads in Castle Rock after climbing over a chain link fence and wandering into the Castle Rock Police Department parking lot. Surveillance cameras captured the bear scaling the fence before taking what police jokingly called a brief pawpection of the area. Apparently searching for food, the bear didn't find a picnic basket, snacks, or other easy meals, so eventually wandered off. Police said that the furry break-in serves as a reminder that wildlife encounters are just normal part of being in Castle Rock. I think I'll stay here. I'm good being normal where I'm at, is what it definitely sounds like to me.
Duh.
Okay, so with that being said, 32 minutes past the top of the hour, let's go ahead and do that thing that we do right now.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
Yep, Rated R Safety Show, main story time, as we are hanging out talking about some of the weird stuff that we tend to do. And today we're going to start ripping off the lid of the darkest, most sanitized corridor of the corporate world, and we are talking about that exact moment an investigation completely goes catastrophically awry. We all been there. You get that call, a serious event shakes the job site, or worse, a fatality occurs. The room goes quiet, and the chaotic, breathless moment, you get to see exactly what the company actually values. Because when the dust settles, the safety cartel doesn't deploy to the job site to learn. They deploy to protect, listen to me, protect the construct. So let's make sure that you go back to the moment that shifted everything for me. I was standing at the 405 in Seattle. A horrific collision had occurred. Smoke was curling into the gray sky, as I like to say it, and flashing the red lights, and life was gone. But that haunted me wasn't the fire or the chaos. It was the corporate response. The client cared more about the brand, the logo on the news, and the headlines. That was their first concern. Not the family, not the drivers, not the massive system breakdown. It's just the reality of what occurred. So this is how derailment happened right out of the gate. When incident hits, the executives sitting in the air conditioner towers immediately bring out the map. They open their pristine theoretical spreadsheets, their legacy policy manuals, and they compare them to the raw, bleeding reality of the blue line. They don't look at the territory, they audit the paperwork. If you had read the Signal Transmission trilogy, we have mapped this out perfectly. Most systems are designed by the blunt end of the stick without anyone ever asking the sharp end what it actually feels like to hold it. The cartel finds the gap between work as imagined and work as done. And instead of treating that map as a vital design feedback, they treat it as a crime scene. They look at the operator who was forced to bypass the broken procedure just to meet the insane production pressure and hand it down from corporate. and they labeled the real-time adaptation as deliberate breach. Let me make sure I say that again. Deliberate breach. They completely ignore the fact that the system itself made the perfect compliance mathematically impossible to do, impossible to complete. I saw this play out with a forklift incident on a site that I was reviewing. A driver collided with a stack of goods, injuring a worker. The driver was certified. He was wearing the right gear. The equipment was perfectly inspected. Everything was by the book. But it still happened. Why? Because there were blind spots in the walking paths and subtle slopes on the floor. The environment was working against the people, but the leadership just said they should know better. Think about that. They should know better. They wanted to enforce the rule rather than admit the design was flawed. When you look at this behavior, you realize the bureaucratic safety industry isn't just flawed, it's a massive simulation. When I read The Exegesis by Philip K. Dick recently, and Philip K. Dick warned us about this, he wrote about the systems pretending to be real, about the Black Iron Prison, where reality is overwritten by a dominant, coercive narrative. The traditional safety establishment operates exactly like that prison. A closed-loop matrix of compliance theater designed to keep the workforce asleep. Safety culture in these places literally is the Truman Show. They say the right things in the meetings, they pass the audits, they publish the stats, while people on the floor are just trying to survive the system that cares more about the optics than the actual humans' outcomes. Think about the reality of that for a moment. When an investigation goes bad, it becomes the investigators that are acting like prison guards trying to enforce the script. They aren't looking for the truth. They are looking to the construct as a work shoot. We've talked about this before. They bring people into the room. They use vague, emotional, bankrupt corporate jargon, failure to mitigate within operational parameter, and they put on a show. They ask who broke the rule instead of asking what made the rule breakable in the first place. They write a sanitized story without including the voices of the people who actually lived it, ensuring the true operational reality never breaches the boardroom doors. Look at what this does to the energy of the culture. It injects pure toxic static into the environment. If you dive into Thomas Campbell's My Big Toe, you start to understand actual physics of what's happening. Campbell talks about how systems evolve based on feedback and how fear creates high entropy. This obsessive paperwork, this relentless metric tracking, this desperate hunt for blame is pure. It is just pure, unadulterated high entropy. High entropy systems are brittle. They are loud, and they operate entirely on fear. When the cartel punishes an operator for a necessary workaround, they are multiplying the system entropy. They are generating massive amounts of corporate noise. They aren't creating a safer environment. They are creating a silence. The operator on the blue line watched the ritual sacrifice happen. They see their teammates thrown under the bus so that PR department can issue clean press releases, and they can a highly logical survival-based decision. They stop talking. They hide the workaround. They bury the glitches. The system defaults to a quiet compliance. The cartel sits in the boardroom looking at the dashboard and says, zero noise. And they mistake silence for safety, completely blinded by the fact that they are drifting straight into what the next catastrophe will be. So, if we stop the bleeding, how do we wire around broken investigations? We have to look at the combative philosophy laid out by Bruce Lee in the Tao of Jeet Kune Do. Lee talked about the artless art, about the power of formlessness. He said to take what is useful, develop from there, and hack away the unessential. A bad investigation is pure ornamentation. It is a layer of slides charged in rigid methodologies that completely fail to capture the fluid reality of human beings interacting with a chaotic environment. To hotwire broken investigations, we have to hack away the unessentials. We have to throw away what we would say is their dead, rigid compliance forms. We have to stop treating the human being like the defective machine component. And we need to adopt a palatable, formless awareness on the floor. You walk into the post-incident room without a clipboard. You drop the corporate persona and you just speak human. You ask the front line, the people holding the sharp end of the stick, the real question: what did the system make impossible for you today? What invisible pressures were you fighting against? When we strip away the cartel noise, we lower the entropy of the entire system. We create low entropy, space where the truth can actually breathe. And this is what's pure, uncorrupted signal lives. Real accountability isn't a write-up. It is not finding the scapegoat to absorb the impact. Real accountability is when leadership has the guts to look into the mirror and say, the system didn't support you today. And that's on us too. Think about it for a moment. Like, really think about that for just a moment. But suits don't have to do a mirror check. I mean, and we kind of already know that. They want an easy answer because complexity terrifies them. They would rather run an automated script inside of their simulation than sit in the heavy, uncomfortable reality of the operational friction. And that is exactly where we draw the line. So, what do you think here? I'm looking at the studio clock because I need to do that from time to time. And we are hitting that hard network boundary right there. The system is trying to pull us back into the matrix, but we are done. So think about this. If you hold the line because you come back to the other side, you have to look at this. What are you going to do? How are you going to make these systems work for you? That's going to be the thing that we're going to have to talk about. Because if you don't start changing things inside of the system, nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever change within your workplace. And that's kind of a weird place to be at.
Oops! What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You're listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all three books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
So do you feel like you're missing out on what everyone is starting to do now, that live streaming thing, and you don't know where to start or what to do? I have the resource and the information to provide to you in regards on how you can stream onto 40 social media platforms all at one time. Yes, that's 40 social media platforms all at one time. All you'll need to do is go to safetyfm.com/1. That's safetyfm.com/1. That's ONE. So just in case, and you'll be able to start live streaming just like you're hearing people starting to do right now, up to 40 social media platforms.
Is your safety training old, stale, and hacked? Is your safety trainer still preaching a warped version of behavior-based safety? How about safety training that actually addresses your hazards in your workplaces and is not standardized baloney from 25 years ago? Contact the Safety Wars team at safetywars.com or call Jim Posel at 845-269-5772. Remember, if you're receiving this message, you are the solution to unsafe workplaces.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, 45 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Monday, June the 22nd. This right here you're taking a listen to, this is River, R-I-V-R, just in case, R-I-V-R. Song's called Ready for Your Love. Song's readily available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, and Pandora. Would recommend strongly giving a little streamer-eamer action. This will change everything for you. Not a joke as I say that either. A lot of stuff going on inside of the multiverse of ours, no doubt about that. Little time, little things, stuff to talk about, no doubt about this one. We would like to thank River, R-I-V-R, for allowing us to play this here on the Rated R Safety Show. Yeah, you know me, I always like some new musica when I get a chance to take a listen to it, no doubt about that. So there you go. Anyways, let me tell you about one of the most important things. Matter of fact, it is the most important thing that I will ever tell you in my lifetime, and that's about my friends at To Write Love on Her Arms. No matter what you're facing, you deserve to be connected to help. And we want you to know that people have been where you are now, and things can get better. Healing is possible. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to TWLOHA.com. That's TWLOHA.com, and click on the section that says Find Help. Once you get there, all kinds of information related to addiction, depression, eating disorders, self-injury, suicide, trauma, grief support, just to name a few. That's TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. Gonna tell you, you go to that website, it can change everything for you. Not a joke as I say that. It is serious business as we get there. TWLOHA.com. To Write Love on Her Arms. So there you go. Anyways, with that being said, let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world of the multiverse. So let's talk about this real quick. In case you did not know this, we have something coming up relatively quick. July the 13th, here in good old Orlando, Florida, we will be having our little symposium. Here, we're calling it Reality Shifts. That's exactly what it's being titled. What will be taking place on that day? Well, we'll be hanging out with the likes of Nick Weatherly, talking about behavior-based safety. We'll have Todd Conklin there, talking about human and organizational performance. I will be there, talking about Signal. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Here's where it gets interesting. We're doing this entirely different. We're not doing a hotel ballroom. We're hanging out entirely at a different place. We are doing this inside of a movie theater, but not one of those fancy dancy movie theaters with stadium seating. This one will actually have office chairs, and we'll also have tables for us to be able to do some interaction stuff. So this way you can write things down, all kinds of interesting things. This will be taking place on Monday, July the 13th at the Aloma Cinema Grill in Orlando, Florida. To find out more information, all you have to do is go to safetyfm.io. That's safetyfm.io. Once you get there, boom, all the information will pop up. Or you can actually just scan the QR code that's right there on your screen. Now, you might be questioning, what do you mean QR code on my screen? Well, if you're watching the video format of this. The QR code is right there. And if you're listening to this on a podcast catcher and you got one of the newer ones, you can scan the QR code because there's a video trigger now inside of there. I know. We try to stay up to date with all this stuff. Or if you're on the visual radio side, you can go to actual safetyfm.com and click on where it says visual radio. I believe it's under the hub section, just so you know. Because we have changed that website up quite a bit. Anyways, with that being said, why don't we go ahead and do this right now? I have John Small waiting in the wing, wanting to talk about the Motivation Minute. So let's do that right now.
Courtesy of JaceCaseMedical.com. Today's quote was submitted by Carl. Frida Kahlo said, "There is nothing more precious than laughter. It is strength to laugh and lose oneself, to be light." I agree completely. Comedy has helped me through some tough times. I love to watch comedy specials, or even better, go to a comedy show. They're so much better in person, but even if it's a special on TV, comedy can heal your hurting soul. I've been in a pretty sad mood and snapped out of it within minutes by listening to a comedian share a funny story or tell a joke that made me laugh. Now, I'm also honored to have been blessed with the opportunity to become a comedian. It's one of my favorite things to do, to stand on a stage and bring a room of strangers together by sharing a fun story, where I'm usually the butt of the joke, but I'm okay with that. In this day and age, I'm actually way more comfortable with that than making fun of anyone else.
The Motivation Minute.
This has been the Motivation Minute. I'm John Small. Thanks for listening. Your favorite motivational quotes can be submitted for upcoming programs at motivationminute.org.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
Lawmakers continue debating major funding and policy proposals as congressional leaders work to resolve differences before key deadlines.
Negotiations involved spending priorities and government programs affecting millions of Americans nationwide. Further discussions are expected as both parties seek agreement on remaining issues. Kevin Sanders reporting.
Health officials warn that an Ebola outbreak in Central Africa is expanding, raising concerns about strained medical systems and cross-border spread.
Authorities reported rising case numbers and growing infections among healthcare workers treating patients. International agencies are increasing support while neighboring countries strengthen monitoring and response efforts. Gary Beck reporting.
Transportation officials investigated disruptions affecting travelers after technical and operational problems caused delays at multiple locations.
Airlines and agencies work to restore schedules while assisting affected passengers across the country. Reviews are underway to determine causes and reduce future interruptions. Liam White reporting.
Diplomats gathered in Switzerland on Sunday as delicate negotiations sought to preserve a fragile Middle East ceasefire, while regional tensions remained high.
Officials from the United States and Iran continued talks aimed at advancing a broader agreement. Mediators remained involved as disputes over security, shipping routes, and future commitments threatened progress. Chris Anderson reporting.
Federal officials are reviewing election security measures after renewed attention focused on voting systems ahead of upcoming nationwide contests.
Government agencies said existing safeguards remain in place to protect election infrastructure. Additional assessments and recommendations are expected as preparations continue for future voting cycles. Jessica Oakley reporting.
Violence continued in parts of the Middle East despite diplomatic activity, leaving civilians at risk and complicating efforts to stabilize several conflict zones.
Reports described new strikes and clashes affecting communities already facing months of hardship. Aid groups urged restraint while governments monitored conditions and weighed further responses. Lawrence Keller reporting.
Communities across several states faced severe weather threats as emergency crews monitored conditions and prepared for possible flooding and storm damage.
Local authorities issued warnings and encouraged residents to follow safety guidance during changing conditions. Forecasts indicated hazardous weather could continue affecting travel and outdoor activities. Kyle Norris reporting.
Leaders backing Ukraine signaled renewed support as concerns grew over possible Russian attacks and continuing pressure along the front lines.
Ukrainian officials said allies pledged additional military and economic assistance during ongoing consultations. The commitments focus on defense needs, while sanctions and diplomatic pressure on Moscow are expected to continue. Benjamin Wright reporting.
And that's the latest news headlines with Alan Edwards.
More hits to help you work. Because to get rich, you gotta work hard.
Yeah, dude, like I just made so much money that I could just sit around on my ass all day and play video games.
Wait, I forgot about Dogecoin.
Dogecoin rules!
Oh, yes, we all know what the Dogecoin rules. Okay, there you go. I'm just kidding. You know that I'm joking, because that's what happens. Anyways, let's continue talking about some of the things that happened back on this day, because that's kind of what we do, is we're taking back a look on this date back in 1775. Are you ready for this? $3 million. The first continental currency is issued. $3 million. So there you go. In 1847, the donut is created. In 1969, Julie Garden dies at the age of 47. In 1969, Aretha Franklin is arrested in Detroit for creating a disturbance. In 1973, George Harrison releases Living in the Material World. In 1987, Tom Seaver retires after the third try with New York Mets. And let's see, in 2008, George Carlin dies at the age of 71. So there you go. That's some things that happened back on this date. If we're looking at some celebrity birthdays for today, Peter Asher turns 82. Todd Ruddenberg turns 78. Meryl Streep turns 77. Lindsay Wagner turns 77. Cyndi Lauper turns 73. That's interesting. I was watching Goonies yesterday, but we'll leave it at that for another story. Tracy Bowen turned 66. Amy Brennerman, 62, Dan Brown, 62, and Carson Daly. You ready for this? 53. Turns 53 today. So there you go. A lot of stuff. Yeah. Carson was a VJ on MTV, just in case Total Request Live, and a DJ in Southern California-based radio station 106.7 K-Rock. In 2002, he joined NBC, where he began hosting and producing the late-night talk show with The Last Call with Carson Daly and occasionally hosting a special event programming for NBC. Yeah, that happened. So there you go. Let's talk about some things that you ought to know. Here's Friday's winning Mega Million numbers, in case you did not know. It was for $452 million. It was 13, 16, 21, 26, 50, and the Mega Million was 12. Here are Saturday winning Powerball numbers. Jackpot was $302 million. 16, 20, 44, 48, 50. Powerball was 15. Power Play was 2. Since there was no winner, tonight's jackpot climbs to $312 million. So there you go. Okay, Serena Williams is making another comeback. The 44-year-old tennis legend has accepted the wild card entry into the 2026 Lady Single Draw, the championship in Wimbledon. Wimbledon announced the news on social media with the message, "This is not a drill," alongside with the photo of Williams on the grass courts and the word "Serena returns." The wildcard invitation gives the 23-time Grand Slam singles champion a chance to compete once again at the All England Club, where she has won 7 Wimbledon single titles. Her return instantly becomes one of the biggest storylines heading into this year's tournament. So there you go. If you need some words of wisdom for today, the older you get, the more you realize that happiness is a quiet morning, a private life, and a peaceful mind, and people who don't drain you. So there you go. And if you need some advice for today, learn one skill that can make you money anywhere. Whether it is writing, coding, sales, photography, or public speaking, portable skills create freedom. Think about that. So there you go. Anyways, I will be going over to Radio Big at the top of the hour if you want to come and hang out with me. Would love to see you over there. That's radiobig.fm. We'll be talking about the world of music and entertainment and playing some music. If you don't want to go over there, you can hang out right here with the likes of Sheldon Primus as he talks about the world of safety consulting. Anyways, I know who you are.
Duh.
You know who I am. Love you, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of Safety FM and or Radio Big. The content discussed, including examples of analysis, is provided for illustrative purposes only. It should not be applied as the sole solution in real-world scenarios, as it is based on limited and dated open source information. Any assumptions made during this broadcast, podcast, or radio show are not reflective of Safety FM and or Radio Big. No portion of this broadcast, podcast, or radio show may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic, mechanical, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of Safety FM and/or Radio Big. For permission requests, please contact Safety FM or Radio Big directly.